Hello ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome here to Buskers Bar in Dublin, in Temple Bar itself, for the very latest PDC Fans Forum! Great crowd in here tonight, as you would expect here in Dublin, and we are going to have a great time for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Just to explain to our audience here tonight as well, that once the boys have finished taking the questions, we will be doing an autograph session just away to our right, and we would ask the audience to form a nice queue down the side of the stage here, where you can get your 180 cards, and the three boys here will sign those for you. So that'll be coming up at the end of the Fans Forum. We have got a roving microphone in the audience as well to fire questions to our very special panel of guests here tonight, and on Twitter, social media, hashtag PDC Fans Forum. Lots of questions already that have been fired in for the boys. One or two nerves on the stage, which I find amazing here, but we're ready to go and looking forward to the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. Ladies and gentlemen, make our panel very welcome indeed. First of all, on my left-hand side, twice champion of the world, a big, big welcome here for Jackpot, Adrian Lewis.
Thank you.
And sat in the middle. Needs no introduction in this part of the world, does he? Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Brendan Dolan!
Thank you.
And away to our left, a big, big welcome to the legend, the 5 times champion of the world, Raymond van Barneveld! Great to see you all, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. It's good to see you all. And ladies and gentlemen, a bit of strategic planning with the panel here tonight. Because, of course, in the first round of the Grand Prix at the weekend, it's Raymond and Adrian up against each other. So that's why we've put Brendan in the middle. It's done deliberately. So, let's open up the proceedings. Adrian, welcome along here to Buskers Bar. Obviously a big week ahead. How are you feeling going into the tournament?
I'm feeling very confident. Obviously put a lot of work in, so yeah, it's obviously it's a tough tournament because you can't really practice for the double in, double out because we don't play that, but only once a year. But really looking forward to it, and bring it on really. Yeah,
it's a unique tournament, Brendan. Of course. You had the highlight of your career, of course, 4 years ago now. Special memories for yourself, and delighted to be back here, no doubt.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to actually play in Dublin and to play in the City West. This has probably made my career, this tournament, and I'll never forget that moment, being the first one to do the 9 darter, double in, double out. It's special to me. I'll go down in history books as the first one, so at least people will remember me.
Yeah, very much so. And what can you describe for us in terms of the moment when it actually happened? What was your emotion? What was going through your mind?
Oh, when it happened, I wasn't thinking about it at all. I was thinking about beating James. I really wanted to do one over on James, and it meant so much to be at James rather than the 9 darter. It was only after maybe a month or so later that I realised what it actually meant. So it was probably a good thing that I didn't know what it meant.
Raymond, great to see you here. Of course, you left it late, shall we say, to qualify by getting to the final at the weekend against Yella. Bit of relief there to actually make it through?
Yeah, of course. First, the thoughts were I'm top 16, so if I win the first round, I'm going to play Michael van Gerwen again. But then suddenly I realized that they seeded the top 8. So I was driving to my hotel on Sunday night after that final. So and then I saw the draw, Adrian Lewis first round. That's wrong, you can't because you fall 5th in the world. So how can I play Adrian? But then they say they're the top 8 seeded in the world. So yeah, tough game first round, of course. But at the end, every round is not easy anymore. I don't want to sound bad, but many years ago, sometimes you came to these tournaments and the first 2-3 rounds you could win on your class, But nowadays, everyone is so tough to beat, and especially with these double openers now, it's tough for everyone. And the short circuit format as well, best of 3 only. So first round is very tough.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've spoken to, Raymond, have been saying, that this first round is arguably the best standard of first round games. When you look at the lineup, opening night, sensational. The whole lineup for the first round is possibly the biggest first round of the Grand Prix we've ever had. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's not easy anymore. Everyone can hit a 9-darter. Not in this format, of course. We saw Brendan doing his first, and last year it amazes me that game with Taunton and James Wade. They both hit a 9-darter with a double opener. So every week, if you see where we do in the European tours, Pro Tours, for instance. Kim Huybrechts hit a 9-darter on Sunday in a leg against Simon Whitlock, and he missed one as well and lost 6-4. So it's about perfect legs. At the end, I'd rather have 15 darters or 17 darters and winning legs, and they agree. It's harder now. It's not easy, and that's why I'm top 16 in the world now. Normally I was in the top 4, but I'm struggling and fighting and working hard to get back.
Brendan, it's getting harder and harder. Would you agree with Raymond there?
Yeah, definitely is. Like you said there, you just have to look at the first round draw. Like most of them games was semi-final games, maybe 2-3 years ago. It's unreal, but you do know when you're playing on the floor week in, week out how tough it is, and you do find there's players going through good patches and bad patches, but their bad patches is really of high class too. So it's a tough game to be at, but it's a pleasure to be mixing it with the best, and it's just great to be involved.
And you've been pitted against a player who's now actually got his form back and playing quite beautifully in Jelle Klassen, one of the most naturally gifted players in the world, who's been regarded as that for a number of years, and he's now getting back to his best. And so it's a tough draw for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough draw, but any one of the other 31 I thought would have been tough. So for me, it's what I expected, a tough draw. I know Jelle has squeezed 2 wins this year, and I think 2 other finals on the floor, I think. So he's playing really, really well overall, but every day is different. So I think was it last or 2 years ago, I got beat in the final on the Sunday before I played, and got beat in the first round by somebody not far away from me. And last year I won on the Sunday and got beat in the first round. So it is really tough, and it's one day from another.
Adrian, I've got to ask you as well, Raymond's just talked about the draw and what a tough one it is, but what are your thoughts going into it, facing this fella away to our left?
Well, I think personally, if Barney got his horse in gear in the first place, we wouldn't have been playing each other.
Any comments to that, Raymond? No, it's a game to look forward to for sure. So good luck to all of you 3 guys for the tournament ahead. We've got some questions coming in. Don't forget on the social media, hashtag PDC Fans Forum, which is available on social media. We've got 1 or 2 coming in right now. We have a question for Brendan. How much, can you put into words, how much did the 9-darter against James actually change your career? What did it do for your career?
I think it started it. The 9-dart, more the run to the final, probably, stopped me from quitting the game because I didn't have the finances to do it. But definitely since that, the fame that has come with the 9-darter, definitely gets your name out there, gets your work, and is keeping me in the game because, it's tough out there to always win enough, but, you have to go and work it on private nights and that, so it's definitely made me the dart player I am today.
And we've got a question from this young man down here, just away to our left. What's your name, young man?
Ollie.
What's your question? Who's your question for?
Adrian Lewis.
And what's your question, young man?
How did he feel like winning his first world championship?
Great question.
Yes, very good question there, Ollie, mate. How did I feel? Well, I think with all the weight you put in there, and I think every dart player's aim is, for win the world title. That's what everybody's dream is when you first start playing. And my dream was for it to, a 9 darts in the final and win, and like a fairy tale kind of thing. And when it happened, I don't think I could believe it. So if I actually do it, and how I felt, it was just, I think it's a relief as well, more than anything else. And, you finally, you fingered your dreams, really. Followed your dreams and made them come true.
And we got some Twitter questions as well for all three of you. There's a good one here, which is from Dan the Stripe. Dan the Stripe on Twitter, at Dan the Stripe. At official PDC, of course, on Twitter. Let's ask Raymond, first of all. Who do you believe is the most underrated darts player at the moment? Who's the most underrated player? Time to think about it.
Can't say MVG, right? No. Wow, that's not an easy one. No, it's not coming something up.
Is there anybody you feel that might be ready to burst through that's not getting the attention at the moment? Any young players? Adrian, you say you've got somebody in mind?
I think so. I think Ian White. I think obviously until with the weekend of Michael Smith winning the Euro Tour, he's world ranked number 8, but nobody actually talks about Ian White.
No, that's true. Yeah, but
You agree with that?
There are many more players especially on the tour, like Brendan said, on TV, it's a different game. He's playing Jelle, but Jelle's doing well on the floor tournaments, but it's not always, if you play on TV, it's a lot different with all these cameras on, than playing on the floor. It's a totally different game then.
And we've seen new players emerge as well. We remember the match play at Blackpool with Gerwyn Price and the form that he showed and how he emerged. There are players coming through now.
Yeah, a lot. The money in the PDC, like Barry Hunt's telling us every time, it's increasing every single year. So everyone's thinking, hey, I can throw a good dart, and someone's backing these guys nowadays. And say, well, go to the tour, go to the pro tour, in January, and try to get your tour card, and that's what everyone does at the moment, and they are so good. I played against some guys this year I never heard before, and Chris Dobie, for instance, 3 times 121 finish in one game. I'm thinking, hold on, 1, okay, 2, yeah, but 3, and then he kick you out 6-5, and you're thinking, yeah, this was the first round in Barnsley again. Bye bye.
Yeah, Brendan, how much different is it? I mean, obviously with the cameras there, but playing on the floor in comparison to, as Raymond just said, with the TV cameras there and the big atmosphere, the big stage, how much harder is it, if you like?
Well, there's different preparation, I think, for TV and for floor. On the floor, you're hoping that you're going to be playing 5 or 6 games. So, the TV, you're preparing for one game. You generally know to within 15 minutes what time you're going to be playing at. When you're playing for day tournaments, it's different. You set yourself up for maybe a longer day, maybe not quite hitting the gun on the first, game you play, and you're hoping to get better as the day goes on. But it's cameras, pressure, people's expectations. They don't see all these great dart players that are playing on the floor. That's because of all these old lads like Raymond and Phil and Eddie that won't go away. They're still there, and have had great careers and still top performers, and they have the knowledge and know how to do it on TV. So for me, it's 2 different preparations.
We've got a tweet here from @Billy180Brooks. Adrian, let's ask you. We all know your greatest victories in your career, but what's been...
I don't.
But maybe you know this one. What has been your worst defeat?
My worst defeat? Oh, I've had that many. My worst defeat was probably against Phil, I think, when I think I was averaging 115 at one point, and I was 9-8 down, and I ended up losing with 111 summit average. And I think I was thinking, well, how can you lose with 111 average?
Is that the one that's hurt you the most?
Which
The
no,
one defeat
no, I
that's hurt
think
you the most?
I think all of them hurt me. I think.
Right. Okay.
So I don't think there's one that actually stands out than any other. Every defeat when you lose, it hurts.
We've got a question from the floor over here. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Adrian, I just want to ask, what are your memories of beating Phil Taylor in Dublin in the semi-final a couple of years ago? It was an incredible moment.
A few years ago,
the Irish fans certainly played their part in it as well with the
yeah.
chants and the...
Thanks to the Irish fans. I ended up getting a £2,000 fine because I was orchestrating the audience, apparently, according to the DRA. I can't remember it myself, but apparently that's what I was doing. But yeah, fair play to you for that. But as an whole, I think that put me on the map. Like Brendan with his 9 daughter, like he said earlier on, you know, I think if I realised if I could beat Phil in sets over that distance at a double-in format, I think I could beat anybody.
Question, again, more questions from the floor. Yep, we've got another one over here. Yes, sir, what's your question?
It's kind of just following on that question before me. What's it like playing with the crowd in Dublin, but what's it also like playing against the crowd in Dublin?
Who should we ask that to? Anybody?
I can't answer that. They're always with me.
They're always with you, yeah. Barney's got great support in Ireland as well, to be fair.
Somebody's turned Barney off.
Brendan, lend him your microphone.
Well, recently I had it in Muirheim with the German crowd. I played against Max Hopp, which is obviously German, and I found it really hard because this is one of the first time in my career that I was really struggling with the crowd against me. They were booing me, they were stamping because I had my earplugs in. They tried to do all and everything to put me out of focus, and well, that happened. You know, sometimes you think, you get angry. That game was really disappointing for me, and I went off and I said I never come here back again because you don't need these things. You know, I remember Adrian in Scotland. He was thrown by things, and we don't want these things to happen. You know, we were playing each other every single week, but we were friends as well. You know, you want to play a normal game with all the respect from the crowd, and sometimes you were there in Scotland or Holland or England or whatever you are, and sometimes you struggle with it, and it's not very nice. The crowd should give you a chance, you know, and that was really not happening in Innsbruck, and I was really disappointed there.
Adrian, can you elaborate on that? Obviously, it's been well documented, of course, when crowds have been against you, Adrian, but you know, can you elaborate on that? What is it like when you're playing against the crowd, if you like?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is, like Ray said, it's try and keep your focus. You know, sometimes you can use it to your advantage when you're up there. If they start booing you and name calling, whatever they want to do, I think, well, I'm going to turn your man over here, and then that'll shut you all up. And that's what I think. I think that sometimes gives me an incentive then. And then other times, like you say, I think it's harder if somebody at the front shouts louder than the crowd. So like say like you've got a constant boo going on. But if somebody at the front of the crowd shouts miss louder than that, that's the one person here.
But how much of the modern day game is it that, you know, the more successful players inevitably going forward from now will be those who can handle the big atmosphere? We know the massive crowds of the Premier League, but the bigger and bigger crowds that are coming in, how big a part of the game is the mentality of blocking out or feeding off positive support?
That is, like I say, it's come into it now. Obviously, it first started during the Premier League games. And now I think with the experience what we're getting on the Premier League, it's helping us personally, you know, to go up there in other tournaments and deal with things like that, where the other players will be coming into it and not knowing what to expect. But when they do realise, and then they realise how tough it really is when you're up there. So
it's good to have the experience, Raymond, you know, of the big stage. It's priceless for you guys to have all that experience under your belt.
The strange thing is, you know, I'm here in this circuit for 32 years, and you're so angry because you were aiming for double 9, and they booing and they stamping, they try to do all and everything. And the disappointment comes if you still keep on missing these darts, because I got a lot of darts I could hit, you know, and for some reasons, I don't know, but it gives you a bad feeling to throw a dart to that double, and suddenly you won't hit it. If they give you 21 darts, you will never hit it, and that makes you furious, you know, because you're blaming them really behind you, and you can't hit it, and that is so weird. It's so strange.
We've got another question from the floor over here. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good feedback.
Yeah. Good evening. Just a question to Adrian there.
No, we've got a problem there. I'll tell you what. Just shout it.
Go on, mate.
Do you,
Yeah.
question for
that's a good-
Adrian
yeah,
is
it's a
just
good
for the benefit
question.
of the feed.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
will
practice
yeah.
as much now as when you were starting your career?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think certainly for state and tournaments. Obviously, like the world champs, for instance. I mean, your preparation starts with that more or less in August. Then you start putting the hours in more and more, building up to the latter part of the year, because this is where the TV tournaments now are coming thick and fast. So you've got to be sharp. And obviously, you want a confidence booster going into the World Championships by trying and pinch a couple of majors really, just as you're going into it. So my general day, I'll probably be doing 3 to 4 hours a day on the board. Then coming up to the Worlds, getting closer, I'll start upping it a bit more to 5 or 6 hours. Just doing not obviously constant, but breaking it up, doing a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, and that's how I'll do it. That's my preparation.
Question on the social network as well on Twitter, hashtag PDC Fans Forum. For Brendan, what are your thoughts going forward if you get past Yella at the weekend? How far do you think you can go? Can you go a long way in the Grand Prix this year?
For me, the first round is the difficult round in any tournament. And if I get past the first round, I have that self-belief that I can go all the way. It doesn't matter who I have to play, I can go all the way. I've beat every dart player that's on the circuit at one time or another. So if you do it once, there's nothing to say you can't do it again. But obviously, you have the pressures of the first round, the mentality, I don't want to be the first out, I don't want to be, going home early, I want to get into the tournament. And I don't think any dart player properly feels that he's in the tournament unless he's got over the first round. And I do perform a lot better after the first round.
Raymond, would you agree with that? The first round, if you could just get past it, then anything can happen from there.
Yeah, of course. You always want to have this behind you, especially in the World Championships or every big major tournament in the world. You want to win your first match, and then you're in the tournament. You got all the things in your mind, that you can win the tournament, and it depends always on your first round.
Got a question over here. Yes, good evening.
Hi guys, welcome to Dublin. Just a question really on the league when you're all travelling around together. What's it like kind of backstage? We can see what's happening on the stage, but like with the crowd as well, and they're jigging you on, and sometimes there's a little bit of animosity, Michael and Peter Wright, just one example. But like what's it like backstage? Are you in the practice room together, or how do you get on like?
Adrian, good one for you to answer.
Yeah, obviously we're all together in the back room, and it's all basically just banter, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, obviously we call Barney Beyonce. I'm a single lady.
Don't make me sing, guys.
But it's all just banter. We all honestly, if you'd see it, it's all just taking the mick out of each other. Basically, that's what happens.
Brendan.
I wouldn't know.
Set you up for that one.
Thanks a lot, Nige.
What you see in the practice area, some guys always go together on one lane, Phil and Adrian, myself and James Wade or Michael, because we're Dutch, we always finishing, from 121 and then one up again, or we do all different kinds. You're always playing a game like 10 scores on the 20, and who's got the highest point? Because you have to, you're there for many hours, many days, and many weeks. We always see we see each other every single week, so there's a lot of fun. And we pull each other off every single week. And one week it's my turn, and then it's his or Michael's or Phil's, you know. So it's a lot of fun there. But yeah, you see some disappointment back as well, you know. Sometimes I said to the PDC, maybe we need a cool-off room, you know, because if people coming back and losing their matches, they still coming back in the same room where we have all fun, you know, and it's not good for the players who still have to play on stage, and it's not good for them as well. So maybe it's then a good idea for the PDC to bring up a cool-off room,
Yeah, good point. If you had to choose a doubles partner, Raymond, past or present, a doubles partner, who would you choose?
That's not very difficult. Michael, yeah. We won the World Cup, and he's one of the best players in the world. England, Adrian and Phil, they were brilliant in the last couple of World Cups, but they suit each other because they were friends many years. And Michael and I go along fine, so that's really important to team up with someone. But I can team up with Adrian as well. We saw in the past that Phil and James Wade in the first World Cup, James was practicing here, Phil was practicing there. I don't know why, but it's not good for a team, you know. So yeah, it's not a really hard question, you know. I will pick Michael straight away.
1 or 2 shocks in the World Cup, I recall, when Spain put England out. But Brendan, what about yourself? I mean, when we talk about past and present, because Barney's just talked about Michael there, but you know, a question that we had in the previous fans forum in Blackpool was if there's a player from the past that you would have liked to have had as your doubles partner. Can you think of anybody from the past that you would have liked to have played alongside?
My idol was, when I was growing up, was Jockey Wilson, so probably he would have been mine. Would have loved to have played with him.
That was a popular answer in Blackpool as well, to be fair. Yeah, absolutely. Adrian, have you got any thoughts on that? I mean, obviously Phil,
yeah, obviously,
but from the past, maybe?
I'd say probably Eric, because I don't think we'd even get to the first round. We'd have been chucked out the tournament by then.
That would be fun. That would be fun to watch. Yeah. Now, if you could change one thing in darts, Gary Lilly has asked this on Twitter. Hashtag PDC Fans Forum, of course. If you could change one thing in darts that doesn't only favour yourself, what would it be? What would you change in the game of darts? Barney?
I will get the doubles off.
And me.
Especially in Dublin.
There'll be no double in, double out tournament.
No double in, double out. No double full stop. Ollie, we've got a question over here from the floor, yeah.
Welcome, lads. Thanks for coming to Dublin. My question is just, we were talking about the World Cup a minute ago. I've always enjoyed the Australia-England World Cup final. It was one of my favourite games of all time. At the end of the match, Adrian, yourself and Paul Nicholson seemed to have a difference of opinion. I was just wondering what it was he did that got your energy flowing and why you weren't so happy with him. I think it was a handshake, but there could have been others. Just, I've always been curious.
It wasn't an handshake. Paul had thrown his darts off the stage by the cameraman. And obviously, if that had hit him, you could have blinded him with something like that. So, and then I had a go at him, yeah. Yeah, we're on good terms now, yeah. He's a good lad, Paul is, yeah.
Good question. Thanks very much indeed. We'll go back to the floor shortly. One for Barney. Funnily enough, from the Barney Army, it says here on Twitter. Raymond, what are your aims for the next year? So over the course of the next 12 months, what are you looking for?
I have to say now, I have to say, get back in the Premier League.
Let's try Brendan's microphone. Let's try Brendan.
I never thought as you said this, you know. It's me. I never thought as you said it, but if you're top 16 in the world and you're getting down, you work hard to get back, you know. Your hopes of getting still every year in the Premier League or in the World Series, because if you're in, you got so much fantastic crowds, you know, all over the world, and you don't want to miss it for the world, you know. You want to be in. Of course, that's depending on your results. So luckily this year the Grand Slam of Darts is ranked now for the first time, and I'm hoping to get some good results this week, and the Grand Slam of Darts. And you always want to win the World Cup, of course, because that's the most important title in the world. It's not easy to win it once, Adrian should admit that, but to do it twice on the spin, that's what he did, and I got a lot of respect for that, because everyone is after you. You win it last year, you know, and there's so much pressure on your shoulder, and I reckon Remember, he had an awful first round. You've been stung by a wasp. I remember that on stage. Can you believe it? In December, a wasp stung in his neck or in his hand or something. Yeah, and he still won the first round and later the title again. So, of course, the best tournament, maybe first three is the top of the World Championship, Premier League, and then probably the match play.
Yeah, Raymond, you've just alluded to the Grand Slam there as a ranking tournament, of course, and we're here to talk about Dublin and the Grand Prix. But there's some interesting players coming to Wolverhampton now from the BDO as well in November. Looking forward to it. It's just an extra dimension to the tournament that excites us all, I think.
And Martin Adam is coming now.
Yeah.
You know, he never said yes to invitations, and for some reason now he's coming. So I think it's good for darts, good for the BDO, good for the PDC. And at the end, good for the crowd and everyone who's watching the tournament.
Yeah, live on Sky Sports, the Grand Slam of darts, as is the Grand Prix, of course. Live on Sky Sports, every dart. A question for Brendan. How does it feel playing in front of your home crowd with everyone cheering you? This is from Jonathan Roberts, Brendan. Does it add any pressure on your shoulders in front of your home crowd?
It's a pleasure. It's absolute pleasure to play in front of them. Because what they do is only support me. They're all wishing me well. They want me to win, and it's not anybody ridicule me or that. So you don't feel pressure of the crowd. You know they want you to do well, and so you have a slight bit of pressure of not letting them down in yourself. But you know, if you don't let yourself down, you'll not let the crowd down. And you know, I just love playing here.
Is there any added pressure, not just because of the crowd, but you've just said it's not because you love it, but you know it's the only ranking tournament in Ireland as well, and it's just that extra dimension of the tournament, isn't it?
Well, it's a special tournament because it's the only tournament all year that's double in, double out, and I think you know it's for the crowd. They're great supporters of good darts, whether it be by Raymond, by Adrian, by myself, or anyone. They will support good darts, and it makes it easier to play with. So for me, as an Irishman playing in Ireland, it's absolute pleasure, and I try not to think of it as pressure. I suppose if you think of it too much, you probably will, but I'm not going to think about it.
We'll try not to keep asking you then, eh?
Yeah, be
it's
quiet.
helpful. Yeah, we'll shut up from now on. Right, okay. Adrian, a couple of World Championships under your belt. So here we go. Isaac Marshall on Twitter, hashtag PDC Fans Forum. Which World Championship did you enjoy winning most? More. Most means the same.
Yeah, it means the same. Both of them, really. I mean, obviously, like I said to you before, that the first one is the most important. And then obviously, and then for do back to back, it's so both of them.
Fantastic achievement, and I'm sure you'll be proud of that for the rest of your life. Barney, have you got a particularly favourite world final, a particularly favourite world championship? Scott again.
Hello.
It does help if you switch the microphone on.
I should say the first one back in Lakeside, because that changed my whole career.
Yeah.
That changed my life. Everyone knows I used to work as a postman back then. And from that day, you know, I quit my job as a postman, started my career, got sponsors all the places. Thankful. But if you talk about, for me, the best one was against Phil, of course. There was all excitement was there. It was my first year in the PDC. In 14 months, I said to someone, I want to hit a 9-dart on TV. I want to win the World Championship. Be number one in the PDC, and I all achieved that in 14 months. So that was the first year in the PDC was amazing, and a very good feeling for me in the future.
Yeah, and I think you know the TV viewing figures for that world final as well, just astronomical. So tremendous high profile. And we did have a question here as well on the screen. Do you think that the World Championship this year, going forward, you have to have the belief, I guess, that you can go out there and do it again?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it depends. It depends on seedings. You know, where are you? Because if you're 16 in the world, you probably get the second or third round, Michael van Gerwen, and he's in world form. So normally I wouldn't think of it, but you try to avoid 16, 15, and 14 places because you get the better players. That doesn't mean you can't win, but you have to play really well. When I was back in the top 4 in the world, I wouldn't mind playing the number 16 or 15 in the world. So it's changing now, you know, in just only a couple of years' time.
Yep, getting harder and harder. Adrian, let me ask you this one from Twitter. Is there anywhere in the world that you would like a darts tournament to be played at which hasn't been done before? And of course it's getting bigger and bigger now, particularly after the summer just gone. But, you know, is there anywhere that we haven't been that you'd like to go?
Yeah, probably at my house, really, so I haven't got travel.
Should be big, your house, at the moment.
Room for many spectators? Right. Okay, Brendan, how did you feel after hitting the bullseye for your 9 darter? I mean, we alluded to this earlier. What did you feel at the time? But after hitting the bullseye for the 9 darter in 2011, but do you think, Aaron Dolger is asking, do you think you can do it again?
Done it once, no problem doing it again. It's just staying in the competition long enough to do it. But I do believe when you can, or you've done these things, you've hit 9 darters, you hit 180s in practice, in tournaments. I believe if you do it once, there's no question you can do it again.
Question for Raymond. What has been your best moment so far in this tournament in Dublin, the World Grand Prix? What's your best moment?
Well, 2 finals against Phil. And yeah, he was playing really well in them finals. I remember I got 2 times on the spin in the final. And yeah, normally I was struggling with doubles, you know, especially to finish. So I should have said, yeah, this tournament doesn't suit me because you have to start with a double, you know. But I got a couple of, I think 2 or 3 semi-finals and 2 finals. So yeah, so this tournament suits me, especially like Brendan said. It's hard to get the first round going, you know, but it doesn't matter right now. Every round you want to win. Every round is hard. So every round is a final to me. Yeah.
We've got a question from the floor over there. So yes, this will be the last one from the floor.
Hi, I'd like to ask the 3 participants, what was their first introduction to darts, and when you were growing up, what was the turning point that made you think you could make a career out of playing darts?
Let's ask Brendan that one. What was your introduction to darts, and what was the turning point that made you feel you could make a career out of it?
Well, I've been throwing darts since I was about 4 or 5, and that's because of 2 older brothers, one 10 years older, one 9 years older, and they were very good at darts, and they were playing at home all the time. And as a youngster, I'm watching them in the house, but of course I'm not allowed to play in the house. I'm too small, so I was sent out to the garage to play, and I threw at a dartboard on the floor, pegging, and I just felt like I want to do what my brothers is doing. And you know, I really grew up wanting to throw more, and they were doing well. Brothers were internationals as well, so it ended up giving me the hunger. I want to do better. And then every Christmas you watched it on telly, and you watched the likes of Jockey. As I say, loved watching Jockey the way through, and his antics. You know, and so that gave me the hunger to play darts. I probably never realised I could make it as a professional, probably until I would say about 2010 or so. I thought I might have a chance at this. So it wasn't until about 2011 that I actually quit work to see could I make a go of it and do the circuit full time. And as I say, I put all my eggs in the one basket, and only because of this tournament on October, I could have been back painting and decorating at home.
Great story. Good stuff, Brendan. And our final question from the floor is from this very special young man here. Yes?
It's for Raymond van Barneveld. How did you feel when you beat Michael van Gerwen?
How did he feel when he beat Michael van Gerwen?
How did you feel when you beat Michael?
Which tournament you mean? When,
in general, how do you feel when you beat Michael? Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, it always feels great if you play against the number one in the world and you beat him. Unfortunately, he beat me a couple of times more on TV than I beat him. But it's always a pleasure if the world's number one is playing against you and you beat him. So sometimes it's not only good to win one game, but you want to go further, and win whole tournaments. So I'm hoping to beat Michael and win a tournament. That would be better, yeah.
Great question, young man. Well done. Fellas, it's been an absolute delight. We could talk all night. It's been great talking to you, and I can wish you all the very best for the weekend in particular. Obviously,
thank you.
I'm glad that we've separated you two.
Me out too.
But on a serious note, Raymond and Adrian, I'm sure you'll put on a great show for us when you get together on the stage.
We'll try our very best.
Brendan, all the very best to you. Thanks for
mate.
giving up your time to be here tonight. Yep. Listen, these three will sign autographs. If you want to form an orderly queue just away to our right, we've got the 180 boards. Raymond, Brendan and Adrian will sign autographs for you. Thanks very much indeed to you all for attending the PDC Fans
Thank
Forum.
you very much. Thank you.
And enjoy the Grand Prix. From me, Nigel Pearson of Sky Sports, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.